Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to be making a hole punch out of a coil spring. Let's get to it. Now the piece I'm using is 10 millimeter. And all we're going to do is straighten it out. I'm just putting it in the hardy hole, get it mostly straight, and then come in and do light taps. Flipping it around and just straightening it out. Now I leave my coil springs as much as I can as like the whole thing and just straighten out the pieces I need as I need them. I find that storing them is a lot easier than straightening out a big long, 10, 12-foot piece. So we're just going to straighten it out as best as we can. And we can do more straightening afterwards. So now we're going to go in on the working end of the punch, and we're going to do a long taper on it. So we're going to get a good heat on it. We're going to bring it to the edge of the anvil, and we're going to start working it as a square. We're going to do a blow and then turn it 90 degrees. Now we're going to work up the taper a little bit because we want a really long, narrow taper. And then once it gets to like a dull orange red color, we're going to reheat it. Because this is high carbon steel, it's just easier to work when it's, your yellow, almost white color. Also, if you work it too much in the duller colors, it's going to actually can crack on you. Now with this taper, we're not going to actually bring it to a point. We're going to leave a little bit of meat at the tip. So now I'm just cleaning up the taper a little bit before we knock down the corners and bring it back to a round. And when I knock down the corners, I actually start from the back and actually work up the piece. And then we're going to take those corners down that we just made. And this is where we're going to actually start cleaning up our taper. Okay, now we're going to just clean up those tapers a lot more. We're just doing light blows. And the cleaner that you can get your taper now, the better it's going to be on the next step, because we want actually this close to a polish. The reason why is because it will less drag when you're actually punching a hole. So here, just take your time, and this is actually really good practice with your tapers. So now I'm just plenishing and just working around, just cleaning up those edges as much as I can. So now I'm just going to take one last heat on this, straighten out everything, plenish a little bit more, and then we'll be able to go on to the next step. So this piece is actually a little bit longer than I need, so I'm going to take it roughly about 8 inches and cut off the end. So now I'm going to anneal the piece, so bring it up to pretty well cherry red. Basically critical temperature where a magnet won't stick to the steel. And I'm going to just bury it in vermiculite, and I'm going to let that sit so it cools down completely. Now, if you don't have vermiculite, you can also use very dry sand. Or if you have a propane forge, you can just leave that in the propane forge overnight. once you shut off your forge. Okay, so now that it's cooled down completely, I'm going to file down the back end where you're going to be striking to a nice smooth surface. And then we're going to clean up the taper a little bit with a file. Now, if you have a belt grinder, you can just use a belt grinder to do this. But I figured now that it's annealed, a file is just going to be really quick to actually do this. Now that the back end's nice and flat, we're just going to come in and put a little bit of chamfer on the edges, just so if it does start to mushroom, there's a little bit of room for it to mushroom before it starts really flaring out. Not going to go crazy with it. Then we're going to switch over to the business end. Now on, the punching side, I'm just going to take a file, and as I go around, I'm going to rotate the file to keep that curve. And I'm just trying to knock down any high spots that might have been left when I'm doing my taper. Now that we got to this point, we're just going to actually flatten down the tip of it now. And then I'm going to look down it and try and get it back to a nice circle. Okay, now we're ready to heat treat this. So we're going to heat up the punch until a magnet doesn't stick to it. And then I have a little bit more heat in this than I need. So I'm going to wait until the tip gets magnetized again, and then I'm going to quench it. I'm quenching about an inch and a half. Then I'm going to take one of my old grinding stones and I'm going to clean off so I can get bare steel. This is so I can actually see the temper come in. And I'm going to wait until those colors start bringing up. And I'm looking for kind of a straw color right at the tip. And then I'm going to quench it again. Okay, now that we got it heat treated and tempered, let's try it out. Okay, to punch a hole, I'm gonna go on one side. We're gonna hit down almost all the way. Flip it over. You should see a dark side. We're gonna line up our punch again. Go over to your puncher hole. And that should be through. There we go. And that tip is still nice and clean. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video of making my hole punch. So if you like it, comment, like, all that good stuff. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.